evening. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Elgin City Council on January 6th, 2026. It is 6:30 p.m. We'll have a roll call, starting with Councilmember St. Pierre.
St. Pierre here.
Rodriguez here.
Brazier here.
Kaznowski here.
Gibson here.
Swain here.
Love here.
The mayor is out under the weather, and she did not want to spread it to us. I did hear from her and Councilmember Krim, who is almost back from his heart surgery, so we have heard from him. I'd accept any,
So moved.
I'll second.
we have a motion from Councilmember Swain and a second from Councilmember Gibson to excuse Mayor McShann and Councilmember Krim. Councilman Swain?
Swain, yes.
Love, yes.
St. Pierre, yes.
Rodriguez, yes.
Brazier, yes.
Kaznowski, yes.
Gibson, yes.
And the motion passes. Invocation. If you will bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day and for the many blessings you bestow upon us each and every day. Thank you for the opportunity to gather here in service to our community. We ask for your continued blessing, protection, and guidance over our town, our citizens, and all who call this city home. Be present with us this evening, Lord. Grant us wisdom, discernment, and unity as we seek to make sound and fair decisions, decisions that honor you and serve the best interest of those we represent, both now and in the future. Lord, please bless and protect all of our city staff as they continue to strive to make our city a better place. Forgive us of our many shortcomings and watch over us as we conclude our work and return safely to our homes. We ask all of this in your holy name. Amen. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Next up is public comment. The city secretary says we currently have no public comment. So moving on to agenda item 6, announcements. Heather?
Good evening. Okay, I'm just going to highlight just a few so I don't take up too much of y'all's time. So the library will be doing Yeti Week beginning Tuesday, January 13th, and it will go through January the 17th. We have story time for the littles. We're going to offer STEAM, Yeti crafts, bilingual story time, coding club. We'll also be doing family movie night, blue blocks. So please, y'all know anybody in that age that would like to come and participate with them, please do that. Also, the Elgin Parks and Rec will be doing prime timer crafts, the faux flower arrangements, which will be on Monday, January 19th, from 2 to 4 o'clock. And this is for ages 55 and older. So, and then last and certainly not least, we're going to be doing our last parenting session. That is through the St. David's. I'm sorry, not St. David's, it's the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. We have received a grant for, focused on sensory. And so we will be doing our last parenting session, and it's a free event. It will be on January 22nd at 7 p.m., and it's focused on ADHD. It's going to be providing a lot of great resources for parents, so please, if you know of anyone, send them our direction. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Heather, and thanks for all the great things for all the age groups.
Well, you've seen how much the library has been used in this last month. Press it.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 7, we have a presentation. And it is for our Martin Luther King Day. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to bringing about social, political, and economic equality for all Americans by nonviolent means, devoted his life to the struggle for justice and equality, sowing seeds of hope for a day when all people might claim the riches of freedom and the security of justice, and challenged our nation to recognize that our individual liberty relies upon our common equality. And whereas, at a time when our nation was sharply divided, Dr. King called on a generation of Americans to be voices of reason, sanity, and understanding amid the voices of violence, hatred, and emotion. And we must face today's challenges with the strength, persistence, and determination that he personified. And whereas the impact of Dr. King's contributions to civil rights are witnessed daily in the United States of America and throughout the world, and whereas downplaying the honors bestowed upon him, including the Nobel Peace Prize, Dr. King wanted most to be remembered as a servant to others, and whereas because of his accomplishments in civil rights, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed by an assassin on April 4th, 1968, at the age of 39 years, and whereas the Bastrop County MLK Jr. Holiday Commission was established in 1988 to revere, promote, and celebrate the legacy, actions, and memory of this great American leader, and whereas the county judge and the mayors of city councils of Bastrop, Elgin, and Smithville recognized Dr. King Jr. as a distinguished leader, orator, recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, minister, prominent leader in the struggle for human and civil rights for all people, and truly great American whose dream lives on after him in all of us. And whereas the President and Congress of the United States of America have declared the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as a national, state, and local holiday, and whereas the theme for the holiday is Mission Possible 2, building community, uniting a nation the nonviolent way, and whereas funds raised by the Bastrop County Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday Commission Scholarship Committee each year help students from Bastrop County pursue higher education, and all citizens are urged to join with Bastrop High School, Smithville High School, Elgin High School, McDade High School, Cedar Creek High School, and Colorado River Collegiate Academy in supporting the scholarship program. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the county judge, mayors of city councils of Bastrop, Elgin, and Smithville that Bastrop County recognizes January 19th, 2026 as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and further urges all citizens to join with the Bastrop County Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday Commission in their work for universal peace with justice, human rights, and social and economic progress for all people, area churches, and other nonprofit organizations, and the cities of Smithville, Elgin, and Bastrop, as well as all school districts and the entirety of Bastrop County, to recognize and celebrate the works of this truly remarkable American. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Elgin to be affixed this 6th day of January 2026. Teresa Y. McShann, Mayor, City of Elgin, Texas. Coach Mays and Byron, anybody on the committee? Moving on to agenda item number 8, city manager's report. City manager Eads.
Yes, thank you. One item in there, the Library Advisory Board quarterly report is included if you have any questions. If not, I'll leave down through.
All good?
Any questions?
Pretty impressive with the sheer amount of input that's come from the inflow.
Agenda item number 9 is the consent agenda. We have the city council minutes for December 2nd and December 16th. That's items 1 and 2. Items 3 is a resolution of the city council authorizing the manager to execute an agreement with TxDOT for temporary closure of state right-of-way as necessary for the Bastrop County Martin Luther King Jr. Walk. And item number 4 is a resolution of the city of Elgin authorizing the mayor to execute a payment in the amount of $205,957 for upsizing utility lines in the Briarwood development and making certain findings.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Kozlowski and a second by Councilmember Love. Any other discussion? Councilmember Kozlowski?
Kaznowski, yes.
Gibson, yes.
Swain, yes.
Love, yes.
St. Pierre, yes.
Rodriguez, yes.
Frazier, yes. Motion passes. Item number 10, new business. Number 1 is discussion and possible action on reviving and promoting a city model where perfectly situated truly reflects Elgin's identity. City Manager Eads?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. So this item came by way of Councilmember St. Pierre. We have some graphical representations that she's provided as well, with the basic idea of keeping and promoting what we are referred to and what we refer to ourselves as perfectly situated. I definitely would ask to defer to the council member to speak to the item, but staff is ready to answer any questions.
You guys don't mind me explaining? I'll go ahead and say, so I've been thinking a lot lately, and after a recent trip to Sugar Land, something kind of sparked inside of me where we have this slogan, which is really cute, which is perfectly situated, but other than it being location-wise to Austin, perfectly situated, to me, it doesn't really have any purpose or meaning, and I thought that we could use that slogan to start shaping the way that we provide development. One of the things that I have a problem with when it comes to driving through these HOA homes is the lack of character and the continuity and consistency with the way that these homes look. They're not representative of Texas, and they're certainly not representative of small farm town Elgin. There's no character, and in my opinion, they're soulless, and they're not the direction that I think our city should be taking. I drove 3 blocks on Main Street and was able to provide ample evidence of what brought me to Elgin. It's the aesthetics, it's the difference in the way that these homes look, it's the architecture, it's the uniqueness, it's the quaintness. That's what brought me here. And we're losing that, and these developers are shaping who we are, and we should be shaping the developers as to who we are. And so I would like to maybe get some community input with regards to what they would like to see in developments. I think that we have a real opportunity with some recent developments that have been spoken about, such as like the rodeo that may be coming, that we could really use to our advantage. We have the Black Prairie land, that's beautiful. We have a lot of things that we can use to our advantage to maybe attract tourism. We could maybe get developers to design some kind of resort that reflects old Western style. where people coming from Austin may want to come and visit when they come to see the rodeo because it reminds them of Old Town Western. When you drive downtown, especially Main Street, the shops, those buildings are beautiful. The rest of our developments commercially could look the same or somewhat representative of that. Granted, we can have modernized looks, but I just want to see more of this and less of what we're getting.
Sure, and if I can point out a couple things that we can jump into for sure with this, and I believe on the staff level side, we definitely can be doing some things to look at things that can be approached at our level. There's gonna be things that are perspective, they're priorities set by council. And so that would come, as I think we talked a little bit about it in our upcoming strategic planning as one. That's in-house, that's us talking to each other. But I think what you're representing, council members, is a broader input, charrettes or, community meetings where people would have inputs, and to try to do, I wouldn't say both things, but not have it also just a very clear distinction between old Elgin and new Elgin. If there's a way that we can bridge that gap, I don't know what that bridge looks like, but I definitely know what staff will do, and we can look into certain things. And as you mentioned, the last thing I'll mention, when a council member noted, as we work through with developers, at that point, because these aren't mandated, this wouldn't be law, but at that point, we do have an ability to have those conversations to say, well, you're asking the city of X, in response, the council has a priority to do Y, whatever that is. And so I think there's opportunity for sure. I like the uniqueness, I'll be honest, that's what, hooked me for sure. So we'll facilitate as needed for sure. Like I said, the backstop is gonna be that strategic planning next month, at the end of next month, sometime. But between now and then, there's still opportunity to look into this and ask you all how you all wanna proceed. And that's I think at least why, we see it on the agenda from my part, from staff's part, to see what y'all thought of it and, how you wanted to see this coming forward. And it could be, again, staff will go and take a look to see what we're able to do. We've already done some legwork. Bo has done some legwork for us. And so we know some things that we could possibly entertain. So we'll do that on our part. But yeah, for sure, I think trying to draw back to the council members' item. We do also, we all want to make sure that we are truly perfectly situated in a lot of different ways. And I've told, a lot of the conversation that I get is, so are we just gonna turn this place vanilla? And I promised until my dying breath, with as much power that I have, which is very limited, that we'll bubble wrap almost figuratively that essence of what Elgin is. Because you can't reproduce that. Once you lose an ounce of it, that ounce is gone. And so it is a finite quantity. And so I truly get, where the council member is going with this, but just wanted a little bit more on our side so we can start that conversation for sure.
So what you need from us right now is input and a direction to carry forward. And then we can discuss it, like you explained, in strategic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting something to happen today. I really would like to give time for community input. I would really like to have them have a say in it. I'd love to, I know I talked about, he said that you would help me generate like a QR code where we could distribute. I would love to have people send in the pictures of homes that they would love to see. I would love to see them send in stuff that they don't want to see, and then go from there. I'm not expecting something to happen overnight. I was thinking maybe give it like 3 or 4 months, maybe like a quarter, and then really start planning and getting something all together, that we can agree on, that this is how we want to see things go.
Yeah,
I
no,
just
I
wanted
was-
to
I
have a
was just-
convers, yes,
Yeah, I'm
yes,
just
ma'am.
stating, because it says discussion and possible action, so.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to make any action tonight other than the support that you guys think that this is maybe something that we should do.
I have some thoughts. Shocker. Yeah, I mean, I think most of us who were not born or didn't, weren't raised here, were drawn to kind of Elgin's unique and quaint downtown and kind of the older part of town. And I guess from a practicality standpoint, one, I wouldn't want newcomers who are who are buying those homes feeling excluded to say, hey, we think your homes are really ugly, right? Because that's essentially kind of what I'm hearing, especially if we're trying to integrate old Elgin into new Elgin. And also, I would ask too, and this maybe is a question for Bo, perhaps there's a charrette with developers, because developers are building what people want to buy, and what we may think is not desirable is something that somebody else does. And so I think we have to be a little mindful that when we say we ask the community what they want, are we asking people in Old Town Elgin what they want, or are we asking people in Harvest Ridge or Triana
Everybody.
what they want?
Absolutely everybody.
Because they're buying those homes,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, I mean, and then I guess it would be, I don't know if we're talking about changing building codes and that
Who's gonna talk to that?
sort of thing, that starts getting into pretty prescriptive, and again, we may want to talk about the pluses and minuses, and I'm open also, I don't know, I mean, I can't speak to many new developments that I think, I mean, probably the one that comes to mind closest to us is probably the Mueller development. But I can't think of a lot of new developments that I'm like, wow, this is great. It doesn't have that quaintness to it. But if there's others, around our area or something that we could take some cues from, I'm all for it. So-
Cuba.
So in talking to Robert, what we were kind of proposing, if that's the direction council was, is prior to y'all's strategic planning meeting, basically saying, this is what state law will allow you to be prescriptive or not. These are suggestions in your current code to where you could write, where it's black and white code, any developer would have to meet that you could potentially make changes, obviously council approving that, and having staff call those out, show you what there's today, what it could be, and providing you those as an option to kind of look over and review as you're talking about your strategic planning. That's a very engineering-esque, it's black and white, that's what you have to meet, it meets state law, you can be prescriptive. Are we gonna be able to be prescriptive to that? It's a 12-to-1 roof pitch? No. Can you be potentially looking at to say you can't have the exact same type of home in a development within eight units or 12 units away from each other? Like you can't have the same one next to each other, basically. Those are some things that we can look into that would be legally that you guys could take action from a code standpoint. So that's the black and white portion, very engineered-esque. Developers generally will probably be part of that process if you do open it up to the public, because they have a vested interest into that, because in general. The one thing that the decision council would have to make, if it's at your strategic session and how you want to move forward with that, is what I would call more of the architectural standards. So there's things that you can't put into code because you're not allowed to by law. But as I talk to council each and every time that a development comes before you for approval, if it's through a PDD or development agreement, those are basically negotiated contracts where you're talking about granting variances and things for lot sizes that you basically are coming in. If the city had a vision that you felt was in writing or some kind of guiding document, those are the times when you are going through those particular developments, which generally are the larger ones. If you have a 100-home subdivision, it's probably not, they're not gonna go through that process with the city. But when you're talking about some of the larger ones, 400 up to 2,500, as we have coming up in Elgin, those are things that you can place within that negotiated document and still be well within the realm of it, because again, it is a negotiated, here's the architectural standard. You guys were here, you approved the MMD for Roach Tract, and that was brought up as a question. and the developer told you, they will put forth an architectural standard and they'll share that with you. You guys, at those kinds of developments, you could require that as part of the agreement, is that architectural standard to already be developed. The developer will tell you though, before I develop that, what is your vision? And so if you don't have that somehow laid out, it kind of leaves them in a quandary, because they're just kind of guessing at that point in time. I would say today for Elgin, the last document that might have played into it was Envision Elgin, and it was done in 2020. It took it through 2020. So, you know, if it's a refresh of that document, if it's something completely different, I think developers, that's always gonna be the first question. It's worked very, very well with the Parks Master Plan, because every time they come in, we're like, hey, parks are very big, interconnectivity, they say, okay, what is it that you think, that you want? We've handed them that document, and I would say 9 times out of 10, what they've come back and recommended or said, this is what we're willing to do, has gone to the Parks Board and has been in line with that plan or that vision of what they have. So as you're thinking about that, I look at the black and white portion, which city staff can pull together for y'all's consideration and say this is within state statute. When you're thinking about how you go to the more aesthetics or what that Envision Elgin is, and I'm engineer, black lines, straight lines, so don't ask for my input there, but as a way to get where you want to see it, you need to have that discussion of what that looks like. Is the public included or not? Is it Envision Elgin refreshed or a separate document? But then I think once you have that, it is much easier to leverage that with future developments, and even potentially developments you currently have going on. As you guys have been aware, multiple developments have come back for amendments. Some of those larger developments are over 10, 15, 20 years to fully build out. So they're constantly evolving within the development itself. It's very hard to say, we want you to match Elgin without something to kind of give them, you know, as a guiding document.
Bo, excuse me, Bo, I appreciate you bringing up Envision Elgin. That's precisely what I was thinking about when Tiffany was talking. To me, this is an opportunity for a bigger conversation. You know, and Envision Elgin is probably one of those things that needs to be revisited. Perfectly situated is more than just aesthetics. Obviously, it's economics, it's diversity, it's culture. It's about making sure that the needs of old Elgin and the needs of new Elgin are met. And so a strategic planning session or sessions with community input, which I totally agree with, we need that, I think is called for, because this conversation is bigger than just the architecture. It's where do we want to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now? And how are we going to make sure that we provide for the least of us as much as we provide for the most of us? And that's our role here, to set that. I think a charrette with developers would be great. But I would caution us as well, because we don't want to put ourselves in a corner where we scare off possibilities, scare off potential development, which we all know that we want the area to have the resources that we need. Safety, security, hospital systems, doctors, we need those things here. And that has to be part of the discussion as well. So whatever we can do to bring all these entities together, I'm all for.
Well said.
I'm not trying to dictate or tell them exactly what they need to do. I would just like to give them examples and be like, hey, throw some of these characteristics in the homes. They don't have to be exactly represented, but look how pretty that is. Look at the brickwork on that archway, on that door. That is absolutely gorgeous. I would love to see more of stuff like that. The wraparound porches, where I had a picture in there that had the room that was, yep, or even on the top, We have the room that's rounded with the, and we don't have to dictate and be like, you have to do those. But we would just like to see a little bit of that in your development. And I would like to see less like continuity. Like you drive in like Peppergrass and you can't tell the difference between one house or the other. Even if they're single levels, they all look the same. Why can't like every two houses look somewhat similar, the next two houses have to look different? So that it breaks up the monotony and provides variety. It provides something to look at. It's not just a drive-through where you don't notice anything because it all looks the same. And that's all I'm trying to say with the direction of this. It's not to dictate or try to scare them off with saying, no, we want just this. But I'd like to put a list of things together so that when developers come into the city, they already have an idea of what we're looking for. And so we'll attract the developers that want to do this. We're not gonna scare people off. We're gonna attract the people who are like, that's a great idea, I wanna develop there.
And if I can, last thing on this too, is that we do have the ability with any city asset, any asset that's coming before this council, as we build out certain things too, where we're in 100% control. And so, you mentioned parks and that sort of idea, so there's already, it's already there. You can see it, obviously, by the park systems that we have downtown. But that nuance can be dictated 100% based on this council's preference or priority that's set. But we do need that, just like Bo said, it really does have to have, even though there's a lot of preference stuff in there, we have to have something lined up, ready to go, to where there is not a need to go back and consider once over and over the same item. If the developers know with that guiding document, and that guiding document could be updated, as Bo said, as years pass. But at least when you're facing them and having a meeting with them, you've got that in your back pocket to say, you know, this is another option you may consider, perhaps. Again, staff-wise, we're gonna march with some background information, but it'll have to come to that community meetings,
Sure.
charrettes, and we'll definitely engage. I'm already.
For me, what I would, before y'all strategic, is to kind of provide you some options there, strictly black and white, code-related, things that could make potentially an immediate impact at the time if you guys so chose to vote on it in favor of making those changes. It's a longer runway to get, you know, the guiding document with public input and stuff but what I hope to have at least before you guys by strategic is, this is what state law is, this is what we can and can't dictate. These are other communities within the state of Texas, not necessarily just neighboring to the city of Elgin, but these are communities across the state of Texas. These are what are on their codes. These are things that we could potentially add to and or change the code we currently have, that you guys could decide to take action at that point in time.
Okay, so it sounds like we have interest in pursuing this, and if you could do that for us prior, staff could do that
Yes, ma'am.
prior to strategic, could we
Yes, ma'am.
also make sure that we could see the envision Elgin document?
course.
So we could go back over that and
Yes,
maybe
ma'am.
use that as a framework?
Sure.
Does that
That-
sound good?
Oh,
And
yeah.
from the strategic session, then we can finish this discussion and start working on avenues for input and
Mhm.
QR codes
Yes.
and meetings? Does
Yeah,
that sound
That's
good?
perfect, thank you.
Yeah, that's, I was gonna say, the tourism part of it,
Hmm.
I think we need to drive that a little more.
Yeah.
And the tourism and the developments where the homes are is not where they come to see it. So we're gonna need to do something downtown, expand it, and enlighten it and emphasize it. So I'm a little leery about putting restrictions on development because then you're not gonna buy it. But I'm willing to look into it.
And
Ms. Alvarez.
if I could add real quick, y'all could work with Historic Review Board. We could look at expanding the downtown district. maybe even opportunities for historic residential district to protect the things that we already have. Of course, it's great to work with the new people, but let's make sure we don't lose our history that's already here.
So then that also puts back on staff that,
For sure.
that we're going to have that information as
Yes.
well.
Oh, yeah.
For this, so we can go through that with
Yeah.
I will
strategic
make sure you
planning
have all of that for the,
Thank you.
the session.
Sure, won't
Thank
we
you.
forget.
too. All good? So we don't need to take action now, but we'll just move forward like that. All good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, moving on to new business, item number 2, a resolution of the City of Elgin authorizing the mayor to execute contracts for property acquisition for the Kennedy Street Drainage Project, also known as GLO Contract Number 22-085-029-D270, and making certain findings related thereto. Michael?
Good evening, council. Is there a slide on the Kennedy Street project? No? Okay. So along Kennedy Street, if you can imagine it, on the east side, there's a number of properties that will need to be acquired to widen the right-of-way. All of the residents on the east side have been offered, have a packet with their survey and their offer based on the square footage that will be needed for this project. A number of them here in your packet today have agreed to those terms to convey to the city for this project, and there's some others that are still in negotiations. So in your packet here, we have each of the property owners that have agreed to those terms, and they have their survey, they have their landowner bill of rights. It's important to note in this particular program, the city will upfront the cost of acquiring those, and it's reimbursed by the GLO grant. So if there's any questions, I can try to help you answer those.
Need, tell me how many properties we're still waiting on?
So this would be 5 out of the 8 that I think is on Kennedy Street, and there's probably about another 10 on County Line Road. It's 2 different geographical areas for the same project, but they both cover drainage improvements. County Line Road, Phase 2 essentially is going to be that portion going to 290. These folks we've been working with, well, we've been working with all of them, but these folks have been really responsive, and they're the first round to come in and agree to those terms.
So you're waiting on 15, or 15 already agreed?
No, 5 have agreed.
5 of the 8?
5 of the 8 on Kennedy Street, and we have not heard back. They have all gotten their packets, but we haven't heard back on agreements from the County Line Road group.
And there's how many on County Line Road? 10, you said?
I think there's about 10, yeah. All of them are listed in our survey in that big packet that we have. I don't remember it off the top of my head right here.
Okay.
And when you say you haven't heard back, is it just y'all sent out packets to them? Has anybody went out there?
Yeah, on the Kennedy Street project, I've been out there myself, walking and talking with the different landowners. Everyone has gotten certified mail with the landowner bill of rights, their survey, their meets and bounds, which is part of this surveying here. And they also have a third-party appraiser, so they have their appraised value of the whole property and then the square footage that the city is acquiring.
So I'm curious, have you received any concerned comments or opposition or?
Just on County Line Road, we haven't received any counteroffers. They have written instructions in their packets to present counteroffers. Mainly on Kennedy Street, I've talked to the Pretos, Joseph Michael DeWurst, and mainly it's just been where to move their fence back to. And so we're working with them on that, showing them based on this survey where the original pin is set and where the new pin would be set.
So we're not gonna have to tear up all them garages and all that crap? when we- on
So
Kennedy?
far in all of the surveys, it hasn't touched any structures. It's really just about, that first one there has about 15 feet of acquisition, and there's some that have a little bit more than that, but in general, it's going to be in that yellow area, and then the next couple of slides have the exact portion that's to be acquired.
So we're not gonna have flooding after this, right?
I'll talk to God about it.
There's God in Mother Nature.
Got it called in.
Yeah, you got to call the big guy.
Any other questions?
No.
I'll accept,
But the 10 that's on County Line, have you went out there?
I have not been out there. I've been speaking to a couple of their representatives, though, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
There's 10 on county line?
I believe that's the correct number. I'm familiar with them individually, but not all together. Mark Dubeck is one of them. The convenience store is another one. Westwind has a small portion as an easement. They've all gotten, the Westwind HOA, they've gotten the certified mail.
I see county line being easy. I think Kennedy's gonna be a little more difficult, so.
Mhm.
I'll accept.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Kozlowski and a second by Councilmember St. Pierre.
Kesnowski, yes?
Gibson, yes.
Swain, yes?
Love, yes.
St. Pierre, yes.
Rodriguez, yes.
Frazier, yes. Motion passes.
So you'll make my road flat again, right?
Yeah.
Item number 3 on new business, a resolution of the City of Elgin, Texas, authorizing city staff to execute an agreement for services with BGE Engineers to design wastewater improvements for the Elgin Economic Development Corporation in the amount of $63,205 and making certain findings related thereto. Michael?
So I don't have a slide on this one, but at the council meeting before the holiday break, council authorized development, commonly known as the Roads Track. It's a big commercial retail that's out there in the EDC Business Park. To get from there downhill to another gravity line and then eventually to our lift station, there's a certain wastewater improvement project that needs to take place. It's across private land, and so staff is engaging BGE engineers to design the wastewater line and then also secure what's needed as far as the easement, and the city will later on acquire the easement later. This is the most direct path to get wastewater services from this big development down to the next set of utilities, which is essentially our lift station.
And Council, you saw the drawings in the packet. Any other questions?
So we already have an easement there now, so we're just gonna add another line to it, right?
So we have an easement that's taken the main trunk of wastewater from north of 290. This portion will connect to that easement. And the engineer here will provide language to secure that easement.
If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Swain and a second by Councilmember Love. Councilmember Swain?
Swain, yes?
Love, yes.
St. Pierre, yes.
Rodriguez, yes.
Frazier, yes.
Kesnowski, yes.
Gibson, yes.
And motion passes. Item number 11, we'll be going into executive session. The city council will convene in executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice and discuss matters related to financial audit and investigation, including potential legal issues. It is 7:13. We are adjourned to executive session. is 7:35, and we're coming back out of executive session. On the executive session item, there will be no action taken. Do we have any other announcements anybody wants to share?
You did the polar bear jump.
I did.
Was it cold?
It was cold. And we thought it was gonna be warm because it was warm outside. So I was like, we got this. And as soon as we hit that water, it felt like ice just.
Okay, if nobody has anything else, we're gonna adjourn at 7:36.
Robert, we expect you out there,